started with the denial to pay for an antidepressant medication. I prescribed a common antidepressant for a child that was denied by insurance. Insurance companies call these denials prior auths because these words sound like something is being authorized prior to, like you've been pre-approved for a car loan. So what I do next is go on an internet database where I retype in a bunch of demographic information about the patient that the insurance company already knows and answer questions that have nothing to do with my patient or the medication. This process of red tape is designed to make providers like myself annoyed and overwhelmed enough to not prescribe the medication and choose something else. The problem was, I knew this medication was right for this patient, and it's a cheap medication that the insurance company should easily be able to pay for. So 1 to 2 days later, I got a second denial. Then I called the insurance company to speak with a department that asks me the same questions I answered on the form and then decides whether or not to deny or approve the payment of the medication. To simply get a hold of this department takes hours, so even when I could be using my skill to help kids, I am spending 15 to 40 minutes at a time over the phone, in between patients, and even on my way to work for a total of 3 hours spread out over 3 days. When I finally reach the department, they tell me that I need to prescribe one of their approved medications, one of which is exactly the same medication that I prescribed. I explained this, and the person on the phone was then confused as to why I was not covered. They put me on hold to reach another department, and finally told me to prescribe the capsule rather than the tablet. I asked why this was simply not stated in the denial, and why did they not read the part of my entry that said I do not care which form the medication comes in. They said they didn't know. By the time the medication was approved, the window of opportunity that the teenager was willing to take the medication was closed. Many teenagers who really need help are only open to medication for a short window of time, and it can take weeks or even years for some teens to open that window. So you can miss an opportunity of willingness by the teenager for many reasons, but one of them should not be the time it actually takes to acquire the medication due to simple insurance bureaucracy. Meanwhile, the time it took me to get this med approved costed me either 6 patient visits or the opportunity to see 2 new sick kids on an ever-growing wait list. My naive ass decided to call the state-run insurance company and tell them that this is not working. I assumed that they would want to fix this. Now, the less naive of you will not be surprised to know that, of course, I could not reach anyone. I learned that this insurance company is not state-run, but for-profit and subsidized by our state tax dollars. This means the problem was actually a Senate issue. So I arranged a meeting. On the day I finally had my private meeting with the senator, I was told at the very last minute that 3 insurance company executives were going to join us. I explained to the senator what the issue was and how children in Rochester were being harmed by the fact that they are waiting in line for mental health help because of useless bullshit like prior auths. I said it could be easily fixed by giving prescribers the direct number to the insurance authorization department. The insurance executives were not happy. I said this, and they used spin and lies and attempted to discredit me in an effort to make the case that this was not a problem. The senator refused to follow up with me, even though I told him 1, 2, and 3 months later that the issue was still not resolved and I am still spending hours dealing with prior auths. I later learned that at least one of the 3 men was a lobbyist for the insurance company and that lobbyists are legally allowed to bribe senators in the form of campaign contributions. This was more evidence that the work I do to help kids in my office ultimately does not matter if kids are going to keep losing their mental health care because sociopathic executives make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for successfully preventing payment while charging families crazy amounts of money for insurance that actively prevents them from getting the care that they need and overpaid for. I was left with the grim reality that this world is fucked and our kids are screwed. Insurance companies will keep making money at the expense of our children's suffering one year after another until there's nothing left to suck out of human beings. And wait a minute. Those 3 insurance creeps. What if they're not powerful? What if they were scared? They ignored all my efforts to reach them, but showed up when I met with the senator because they were scared I would be successful in explaining their fuckery to the senator, and I would convince him to change legislation. What if the parents of these children knew they could scare insurance companies by speaking with senators too? What if all the parents of children with mental illness not only voted, but complained to their elected representatives? Complained that their insurance company is charging too much and their kids are still not getting help? What if the parents decided to make it known that they are anchored to working for their employer just so that they can pay for their family's health care? All the while, they are stuck waiting in line for providers like me to see their kid for necessary and cheap treatment. What if every parent of a child with mental illness, or adults with mental illness, voted and complained? They could vote their legislators out of office to prevent corrupt senators from even being in the position to accept bribes in the first place. Maybe if each person used this website to find their representatives' phone numbers and emails to tell them they are tired of paying thousands of dollars a year for insurance that isn't even allowing providers like me to do their jobs for their sick kids. You can complain that you want universal health care, or at least have your representative hold insurance companies accountable for price gouging you while not even shelling out for your goddamn kids. Insurance companies are supposed to pay out, period. Tell them you want your kids to get help now, not wait until they're in a crisis and need to be hospitalized, or you find out 6 years down the road they have a first grade reading level. I've been told before, if you don't vote, you can't complain. I would like to amend that to, if you don't vote and complain, you can't complain. That and your kids are fucked.